You know that moment when you scroll through a dozen 4K security camera listings, see the glossy images, read the promise of smart detection and plug and play, and then wonder if you're about to waste a month's rent on a system that ends up being more hassle than protection? I've been there, and I've also spent the last couple of weeks setting up a full home system so I could actually see what works and what doesn't before I recommend anything. Link is in the description if you want to check the product details on Amazon. The REOLINK 16-channel 4K bullet camera kit promises a lot: ultra-high-definition footage, person and vehicle detection, continuous 24/7 recording on a built-in 4 TB drive, and a pay-only setup that's supposed to be plug and play. The big question is whether those claims hold up when you actually need to see a delivery driver at the front door, a cat prowling the backyard, or a neighbor's car that just passed by at night. I tested it in a 3-story suburban house, with cameras covering the garage, front porch, backyard, and 2 interior points, and I'll walk through what I found. First off, the installation was as close to plug and play as a wired system can get. You run a single Ethernet cable from each bullet to a PO switch, power the switch, and the cameras pop up in the REOLINK app within a minute. No firmware flashes, no coaxial adapters, no hidden steps. For a first-time DIY security installer, that's a huge relief. The app itself walks you through naming each camera and assigning zones, so you can label the front door camera versus the garage camera without digging through a maze of menus. I did notice a slight lag the first time I opened the live view on my phone, about 2 seconds, but after the initial handshake the stream steadied. Now, the 4K resolution is the headline feature. In practice, the extra pixel count shines when you need to zoom in on a license plate or read a face from a distance. On the front porch camera, I could pull up a still frame and zoom in to 8 without the image turning into a pixelated mess. That level of detail is useful if you ever need to hand footage to law enforcement. However, the high resolution does demand a good network. My home gigabit router handled the stream without dropping frames, but on a slower 100 megabits per second line you'll notice occasional stuttering, especially if you try to view multiple cameras at once. If your internet isn't fast or you plan to view feeds remotely often, you might need to upgrade your router or accept a lower resolution view. Low light performance is a common pain point for many security cameras, and REOLINK's 4K bullet uses a 1/2.8" sensor with infrared LEDs. In the backyard, where the only light source was a street lamp, the night view was surprisingly clear. The IR illumination covered a radius of about 30 feet, and moving subjects like my dog running after a ball came through as sharp silhouettes without the washout you get from cheaper 720p models. That said, the camera's color night mode, where it tries to boost ambient light instead of using IR, was a bit noisy, so I stuck with pure black and white infrared for most night scenes. If you need color detail after dark, say, to read a shirt logo, you'll still end up with grainy footage. One of the promises that sold me on this system was the built-in smart detection. The app lets you toggle person, vehicle, and animal detection on each camera, and you get push notifications when the algorithm flags something. In real use, the person detection worked fairly well on the front door camera. It rarely triggered on passing cars, and it caught the delivery driver's movement with a single alert. Vehicle detection on the driveway camera was a little more touchy. It sometimes flagged a bicycle as a vehicle, which is understandable given the shape analysis. Animal detection in the backyard was hit or miss. My cat triggered an alert when it prowled close to the camera, but a small raccoon that passed by at the edge of the IR range went unnoticed. If you're primarily after human intruders, the system delivers, but you shouldn't rely on it as a sole deterrent for every kind of motion. The storage side is where REOLINK tries to simplify things. A pre-installed 4 TB HDD is tucked inside the NVR, promising 24/7 recording without a subscription. I ran a 3-day test, and the drive filled up roughly 0.7 terabytes per day at 4K 15 frames per second. That means you have about 5 to 6 days of continuous footage before older video is overwritten. The good news is you can set motion-only recording on any camera to stretch that window. The bad news is that once the disk reaches capacity, older clips are automatically overwritten, and there's no easy way to export a bulk of footage without using the REOLINK client on a PC. If you need long-term archiving for compliance or insurance, you'll have to schedule regular exports yourself. Because the system is PO, there's no battery to worry about, which eliminates the anxiety of a power outage.